We have to talk about our next game. X7 are going up against Astralis here on the NLC, and I just want to get your kind of the top-level thoughts. One straight off the top of the brain. Go, Borg.
Definitely, this is the game I've been looking forward to, and it's not because it was clean League of Legends I've seen from these teams. I'm looking for them to start displaying it a little bit. Why are you giving me that look?
Because you were ready to slam your hand. I thought you were going to be Denmark.
Nah,
I've missed that, man. Come on.
Yeah,
come on.
Maybe if they win, I'll really
very nice day.
It's indeed a very nice day, isn't it? I think
it started with D. You're like, definitely. I'm like, that's a Denmark. It wasn't.
I'm gentle. Both these teams, I feel like, in general, haven't really shown the full capabilities of themselves. I think when I'm looking at X7, I'm thinking of a little bit of a disjointed roster in terms of how they're playing together, albeit they didn't have their full roster when they started out the split, so they haven't had the full time as some of the other teams here to fully practice. Astralis, on the other hand, don't really have that excuse coming into it. They've kept majority of their roster, new coaching staff coming through, but they've swapped out the support player, but they are still running into some of the same mistakes, and some of the victories they've had so far doesn't really feel earned. It feels like it's their opponent that's making a mistake. So what I would like to see from Astralis is the fact that they start being the playmakers and they start being the team that drives the game forward, and specifically in the early to mid game, because they can't just rely on a good team fight in the late game to all of a sudden turn the tides.
Okay, a lot to break down there from both of these two teams, and we will get more in depth with them as well, talking about our teams and players. But before we do that, we have got a Lee Sin Jungle Challenge with Asheron and Taxa. Let's take a look.
Enough blind jokes. Stop asking for more.
Oh, we need to go to challenge. No?
I didn't have it in my...
Oh.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Lee Sin Jungle Clear Challenge, and I'm together with Taxa from Astralis. We're ready to kick this off, and before we do though, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. It's a pretty interesting challenge. I never did this before, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'm not going to be the worst one.
158 Grandmaster.
So tell me, what is the thought process of making a full clear with Lee Sin, and what are you going to use?
Using my abilities to fast, on the map, use my W and flash. I think I have to go fleet, if that's the only thing that helps on the camp. I don't know if any of this helps, probably not.
Over the heal may help, yeah.
It's a hard part. I think maybe like Nimbus Cloak is good and Absolute Focus.
Nice.
That's the only thing I could find that's like good for jungle, but I don't know.
Okay, in terms of summoner spells, why flash?
It could be Ghost, like to run fast on the map, but I think flash is better because I can like use my ward jump as well. And like when I walk to mid lane, maybe I can use my flash.
Okay, let's see what happens and lock in, and let's move into the Summoner's Rift. Okay, the question now, get the pots, and where are you going to start though?
I think I should start red to get the red buff and then deal more damage. But I'm not sure, like I honestly don't. Maybe the other thing is better.
What is the skill you're going to start with? Because there's a big question between the E and the Q for players.
Yeah. I think without leash, if I start E, I can use my Q to get close to Crux. And then I can use my flash later. So I think I'm gonna try E, but I'm not sure what's like best. Because it's something about like if I get leash, maybe the cooldown is different and I will have Q up again, but I'll try the E. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's bad.
Everybody picks the E because of there's 1 second cooldown faster for the Tempest. Instead of the Sonic Wave. So let's see how it goes. 30 seconds away. And if you can tell me, where do you expect to be at the end of the ladder? Like, when we're done with the challenge, where do you expect yourself to find yourself?
I mean, honestly, like if some of the other players knew that this was gonna happen, maybe they like prepared some strats, but I am hoping for like middle pack. That's probably it.
Do you have a specific time in your mind that you want to achieve with the full clear?
I actually have no clue. Like, Lee Sin, I'm not sure. I don't know. Like 3:30 maybe, I don't know, man.
3:30, okay, that's a good window, and there we go. He starts on with the red, gets the double auto attack. He's going to go back to the Crocs. And where do you think you're going to use the flash though in this challenge?
I think I'm gonna flash over mid lane, then use like Nimbus Cloak speed to run faster.
After the Raptors?
Yeah, but I'm not like 100% sure.
Okay, 50, you get the Q, that's a good clear.
I already like one auto tag, I think. But it's fine. It's fine.
And the big question, though, is can you get the Tempest full clear on the small ones? Everybody is attempting to do that one. It's really hard to get the second cooldown on that one. 5 seconds. If you miss one Krog, you have to go back.
Yeah, I'm just playing it safe.
Seems like a good one.
Flashing now, I think.
Instantly to get the Nimbus Cloak. Okay. Full energy. Okay, one touch on every single one. That should be enough to kill them, no, Taxid?
Yeah, this is intense, man.
Okay. The damage from the knife.
Come on.
Oh, okay, close one. The hop, okay, but the cooldown though is way bigger now. Oh.
Yeah, maybe I trolled it. I don't have attack speed now.
Oh no.
I think I trolled it. No.
Oh no, Tax. 250, by the way, you still have a long time. Ooh, the Q. Okay, it's enough to get the burn on a wolf. Are you going to do the double?
Yeah,
Are you going to do the double? But how can you pull him now? You don't have the Q.
I'm just waiting. It's fine.
Okay. Good aggro management.
Imagine if I die now. Please.
No, you cannot. It's almost done. 350 though. This seems like a good clear though. Getting low, 1 HP. Oof. 320. You're getting so low. The smite.
No.
Okay, 327.28, I think. Is your smite bugged?
Wait, I thought I had to do the crab as well, dude.
No, you don't.
Wait, really? I'm trolling then. I saved my smite for the crab.
No, Scuttle Crab ruins games. Blabber would know more than anyone else, but Taxa the Smite. I mean, okay.
I generally just feel like if anyone doesn't beat Taxa now, they should be really ashamed. He played with a handicap of not using that smite.
Maybe we put a little asterisk there so they don't, they haven't used the second smite. Like almost like a wet lap that they have in racing. But yeah, obviously a lot of tactics coming through for that one. So kind of get your reaction. Obviously, a disappointing kind of time because the smite wasn't there. They could have shaved a few seconds off, but otherwise did pretty well, right?
Yes, and I think it's a really great content piece as well. Thank you, production, because it ties really well with what Kubok was saying. And then we see Taxa. I feel like Taxa is the one person that I look at in Astralis to start making that early game a little bit more creative, a little bit more energetic, just give some life to Astralis, making sure that they actually have some early game, have some ganks, get Crispec ahead, get your lanes ahead. I feel like Taxa has been a little bit too passive in a lot of the games, and even though they win some of them, it's like it's a slow bleed towards late game.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, we now have the opportunity to go a little bit more in depth about these teams. Obviously, we've already spoken a little bit about Astralis. X7, Gobbo, talk to me about this team.
Oh, where do we begin?
What can we expect? What should we be looking for?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because even when we were talking with Attila last Monday, their AD carry, he was saying, like, well, he doesn't even understand himself why things are not really moving forward for them. I think it's just, once again, a team that needs to gel together. MC came through from Riddle, substitute for Haru, that then moved on to the NLC. Nata got substituted out with Attila, and then, of course, Chasey coming in the top lane instead of Jaeger. We're talking Korean coming in, so there's potential language barrier. We're talking about new systems being developed because just majority of the roster was swapped out. Only 2 remained. So maybe it's not even the same systems we're playing in any longer that, we used to have in the past in the likes of X7. I think specifically for them, they just need 1 victory to start steamrolling. The talent on this roster is absolutely exceptional. Like, we're talking about individuality at GDXL. This roster should be mentioned in the same way because they have players that can contest in every caliber for being one of the best.
But that's usually the problem with rosters that on paper look fantastic, right? The so-called super teams formed over in the LPL, over on the LEC, they usually never perform to the maximum because even though every player might be the best at their position, maybe their playstyles, maybe their champion pools, they just don't go very well together. So for example, support jungle synergy, I don't think it exists at all for X7 at this point. Mid jungle synergy, champion pools are clashing massively between MC and Temp both playing AP champions. So I'd like to see maybe somebody step down and maybe allowing MC to shine on one of his picks, because so far they've completely deprived him of them.
Okay, a team that should work on paper but doesn't. And I like what you said there about champion pools and everything, because it kind of leads us into our next part. The pick and ban are ready to go, so we will find out exactly how that plays out for these two teams. Goldberg, I'll let you kind of go on that point as well. What are we expecting to see?
Well, it's interesting because Astralis to me has had this bad dynamic where last Monday when I saw them, yes, they're a blue side, but they put a few eggs in their basket up towards the top side of the map with Carlson playing with Gwen, but he doesn't really get resources sometimes to facilitate that. I think if you want to make the game as easy as possible for Astralis to start picking up some victories, maybe you just keep it simple and you put him on a tanky champion instead. You have Chrisberg to play for. You have Kibah, who can be a playmaker. Kibah to me is a very interesting support. I feel like he's been always talked about as a guy that could be on a bigger stage.
Okay.
But now he's finally got the spotlight on an academy team like Astralis Talent, and I also want to see him then, you know, really prove it at the same time.
Okay, that's interesting. A little bit of a proof in the pudding there for that player. And do you think they'll maybe try and kind of put that into their game, into their draft plan then? Is this something that we're expecting to see here, Trouble?
I have the biggest question right here.
Okay.
Because I'm wondering, is Nidalee gonna get banned right here? Because if not, that is MC's most prominent champion, extremely proficient on it, and that's something that could lead him back to comfort, right? Yes, he played it on the first game of the split versus JDXL, but that was with Sloggy in the middle and they had a sub. Now Tempt is back. My big question mark here is, do you allow MC the comfort and maybe compromise someone else's comfort just to get your shot caller, your jungler, the guy who moves around the map, that sort of comfort back to him, that energy, that positivity, you know? Because I feel like if the spirits are going down by losing on something that they're not comfortable on, then that might be very problematic. Senna, of course, been locked in here. It's been permabanned today. It's been something that Attila has played on the 2 wins that X7 has. Something else to look at would be Tempt Azir and MC's Viego.
Yeah, and it just sets up a real nice composition here. You can do everything with this set already. It can be the AD carry, you can let it be the support. It doesn't really reveal all too much. And that just means that Astralis going to just start by building out their own foundation here. Ezreal for Attila has been comfort for the longest time, in forever. We're not just talking about here. We're talking about just career-wise.
Talking about worlds.
Exactly.
Just forever.
A champion this guy and has been well known for to 1v9 with at times. This time they're rounding it up with a Wukong. This gives them a really solid, at least engage to come in with, and a lot of damage just from the jungler alone.
It's on Chrisberg.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but this is huge, right? We mentioned that X7 have only been getting wins on 3 comfort picks. That's Senna, Viego, Azir. These are their only 2 victories. The second Riddle took all 3 picks off of them. They lost very convincingly against them. Right here, they have the chance to yet again go with those 3 picks. They've locked in 2 out of 3 if this not goes through as well. And if it does go through, yes, then I'm expecting Astralis to at least get Tempt off of that Azir in the second ban rotation.
I wonder how now Astralis. Okay, so it's not actually not getting locked in here.
But that is mad because X7 are just running back to comfort yet again. They're like, we only win with these 3 champions, and it's kind of mind-blowing. I'm kind of disappointed, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, so far those are S-tier champions on the patch, so I'm not gonna be disappointed in the fact that, you know, they're grabbing some of the strongest, if they're not being punished for it, at least in that regard. But I am curious to see then what you feel like you need to have as an immediate answer, because I was actually wondering, do you want to set Carlson up instead then, now that you have an Ezreal and Chrisberg? Pick something on 3 and then come out with a couple bans. Doesn't really seem like that's the case. They've just locked in the Ahri instead for Senkox. You can just pick your support afterwards if that's what you're prioritizing. And we're probably going to be experiencing where Astralis will lay their pressure. I'm expecting them to put it in the top side, so come through with a support 4th pick and then save the last one for Carlson instead, at least with an Ezreal locked in.
Okay, so whereabouts do you think these 2 teams are essentially placing their cards at the moment? Like, how are they building into this draft and into our second ban phase? What are we going to expect to see to round this one off, Trouble?
I feel so far with X7, they've done the same thing like 2 times in a row. They've won with these 3 main picks. It was usually about, we play a very stable game. Senna's going to come online later on. Azir is going to come online later on. We make sure that our vision is deep enough into the opponent jungle and we don't make a lot of mistakes by overextending, right? Viego's a farming champion as well. He doesn't care too much about brawling. So So far, I'm seeing an X7 that wants to be a little bit passive in the early game. On the other hand, I agree with you. It's one of the very few times that I see Kibah on the Ezreal, which means that he's handshaking the early game to someone across the map, and it's most likely going to be Carlsen, someone known for playing the Renekton's, the Camille's, the Fioras, the playmakers towards the top side of the map. I would not be surprised to see a Camille right here to try and maybe dive into the center. You have the Ari, you have the Wukong to dive in with you, and maybe something along the lines of Nautilus even as well.
It's interesting because I feel like the bans coming through from both of them right here with the Tom and the Seraphine into the center is some of the best bans you can come through. And also at the other side, you're trying to neutralize the poke combo of Yuumi Ezreal and Yuumi Bard, which is also super annoying to play against. I feel like with an Ezreal and a Nautilus locked in like this, you're kind of just leaving Kibah alone, and you're really looking to excel the opposite side of the map. And that can be kind of volatile now that at least Chasey is going to be on a blind pick here himself, having to go through with potentially this Nod. Then I'm just instantly thinking, okay, Camille is coming through from Carlsen if that happens.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Camille right here to instantly capitalize, or maybe something like a Jace, but I feel like Camille diving into the backline with Nautilus ult, Ari ult, Wukong ult is just a match made in heaven, right? If these guys snowball, there's just so much potential right there to shut X7 down before they come online, before all their picks start scaling. And right now, it also gives us a little bit of an insight on what happens once Carlsen does get the attention so far, right? Because last split, if Carlsen wasn't getting a lot of resources, he would fall behind. This split, he's held up on his own, even when he's not getting any resources from his team. But this time, I think he has a recipe for success. I'm seeing Kibah roaming the map on that Nautilus, play towards mid, unlock Senkax, go top.
But that's the thing, because I actually think the first 3 to 4 waves down in that bot lane is going to be very difficult for Kibah and Kibah. Having a Swain and a Senna is just automatically going to make sure that Nautilus can never step up onto this wave. You can turn him in, you can start damaging him. You got the E coming through from Swain, just grasping it. You get Senna just getting stacks. It's going to be at a point where when you're moving Kibah out of the map, it's most likely going to come at the cost of tower plating. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Astralis finds their window with this and how they get the top side ahead, because they might not even get the help of Kibah because of how much high pressure that can be in the X7 bot lane.
All right, well, a little bit of a difficult game for them. Looks like surviving and scaling versus snowballing. It could be how this one plays out. We'll, of course, find out because the game is ready to go. Over to our casters, Viperoon and Yamada.
That's us, and we are casters, and we are doing the League of Legends on the television. If you're watching on TV, probably not. I imagine it's more of a computer or phone angle. But hey, whatever you're watching on, you're welcome here. We're going to our 4th game of the day, X7 versus Astralis Talent, who are both having interesting splits so far. Astralis Talent interesting in the sense of it's looking better than it did last split. X7's looking interesting in terms of,
Yeah, that scream got me late. Yeah, I actually agree. It's kind of, you know, a tale of 2
teams.
Yeah.
As every game of League of Legends.
As every League of Legends game is. But, you know, there's a lot of juxtaposition to be had here, right? I feel like it's a little more positive for Astralis than maybe most were expecting. Whereas on the opposite side for X7, really struggling to consistently get the ball rolling, unfortunately. We've seen very strong games out of X7, but we've also seen many poor performances so far.
And I think something that Trouble was pointing out when she was on desk, and I think X7 have gone in a direction to fixing the problem, but in the direction that I prefer. Because she was saying, look, MC, we know how good he is on some of these AP champions. The Rumble especially is a pocket pick of his. And that Tempt is playing AP, you kind of want to maybe see Tempt sacrifice himself a little bit in order to get MC on comfort. However, I would suggest that as one of the highest performing players that we saw in spring, and as someone who has struggled this split, like going on to the Viego once again, it's a very, very powerful pick, but it also allows for that damage portfolio. And if we're talking about sacrificing a player, then maybe MC is the one who needs to be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the names, right, it's kind of a hard decision to be had, but yeah, I suppose so. What's...
I just got him the producer in the air, but he was so loud.
Oh, okay.
That made me jump.
Because I saw you physically, like, jolt, and I was like, are you okay?
Our producer is so loud in my ear.
Fix it. It's on you. Fix it. Look, here you go.
Oh, how can you do that for
there
me?
you go. Now he's...
Thank you, Jamada.
Anyway, back to the game. Sorry, breaking the fourth wall a little bit. I might have just...
But we'll find out.
Set up a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you say, I think definitely maybe sacrificing MC in that regard, maybe is the angle. We'll see. It's definitely a tough call. It's big shoes to fill. We've spoken about it plenty of times.
Haru is a size 14. You can't prove me wrong.
I can't.
You don't know how big Haru's feet are.
I don't want to find out. Anyway.
If you're watching NLC, you might be watching from hashtag NLC at home, and I hear that we've got a tweet. NLC at home from Villain O'Kennan. NLC Game Day, let's go Nuriki Esports. Well, good news for you is that Nuriki Esports have already won their game.
Yeah, I quite like your setup, friend.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about the vertical monitors.
I don't know about the webcam being at the top of the vertical. Actually, we're gonna have a fight though, so we're gonna have to keep an eye on this one as Attila has been caught out. MC diving forward though, looking towards Kibah. It's a 3v2. And it looks like Astralis talent won't be able to catch anyone out today. However, they did manage to get the exhaust out of Attila.
Yeah, not so bad, but I mean, again, Kibah blows the flash. That's the more crucial summon spell. Does have Hex Flash, right? But it's more about, in most cases, starting fights, the Hex Flash. See how things continue on the bottom side and whether or not we'll get more jungle intervention. But bottom side, Skull Crab was secured by MC, of course. Also, don't forget MC did flash.
He did,
as well.
yes.
Seems like he will get the top side Skull, and this is a really interesting lane that I would maybe like to talk about, because I feel like, again, Swain has been a fairly underutilized pick. Has actually been seeing more, you know, attention this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
But still, very, very tempered. Senna Swain. It's a very annoying lane to kill. Very boring, yes, actually, to probably lane against, especially as the Ezreal, right? Ezreal doesn't really have a lot of, you know, kill threat. One of Swain's biggest weaknesses is, you know, having a slightly weak early game. So when he's laning into the Ezreal, he's going to just do just fine. But not only that, he also has the Senna to kind of, you know, pick up in moments where, you know, maybe Swain lacks, keeping him alive in certain moments. But not only that, they also have setup between each other. Don't forget, if Kasing lands the root...
Ooh, there we go. Going to be dragged back through. And just as you said, a lot of damage going down. But Kasing flashing forward aggressively. It might have been a mistake as Chrisberg is able to return the damage.
Yeah, I think Kasing just looking for lethal, right? Knows Chrisberg doesn't have cleanse. So if that chain CC can come in, no flash means that he would have stayed in place and maybe they can auto-attack him down. Wasn't quite the case. Can definitely admire the attempt, though, nonetheless. But you can see they have set up for each other. Crucially, if Senna also lands the route first, the pull...
everything hits.
Yeah, everything hits, right? The never move will come in.
The idea of having lockdown with someone like Ziggs that we saw a lot last season, because while his abilities might be a little bit easy to dodge if you're fully mobile, then it's not necessarily so easy. And Taxa is looking to get something going down on the bot side, of course.
No flash,
as we heard, he's the one who wants to get stuff going. But as we also saw, Lee Sinclair, not necessarily great. But we're going to see Kasing maybe in a little bit of trouble. Attila's going to be forced to flash away. A little bit of damage coming on through Attila. We'll be able to get back onto tower. Nice blocking from Kasing as Kresberg actually goes low.
Here.
And you can see that MC is making a way downtown, looking towards Kresberg potentially, with Taxa is just going to be standing in front of him. Kibah doing exactly the same thing, so a little bit of poke, but nothing more as Kresberg will walk away.
Kresberg able to get away with his life on this exchange. Definitely a little bit closer than perhaps Astralis were hoping for. Taxa, unfortunately, only had target access onto the Swain, who had flash. If he found it onto Senna, Kasing, I think, would have died for first blood. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Tempt has had pretty stern control, firm control of mid lane priority for a majority of the early stages so far. Just definitely allowed MC to have a little more access towards the bottom side. But I have to say, Astralis is doing a really good job of keeping up a vision line inside of X7's jungle. Thank you, observers, for highlighting that. You can see MC is of no information that he has just walked over a whole bunch of wards. And you can see this is going to translate into Kibah opening up towards the river. Taxa knows he's here.
Trouble, you've got to imagine, but Kasing is moving down. Will he be able to survive as Taxa is only level 5, so no ultimate available, and he will be able to move down towards bot lane because both people had reset. But the Dragon will be potentially stunned up by either of these teams as both of them are hanging around the neighborhood, but it's just going to be Taxa skewing himself to Scuttle Crowd for the time being.
Good skewer, good takedown. I think, again, just comes from that vision line, which has now just dissipated. You can see the debris. But again, Astralis getting deep into the jungle. We'll see a control ward dropped here.
Very deep.
One of those very annoying control wards, which sometimes can last.
Back in the day, summoners,
go ahead.
You could play Old Warwick, start Machete,
and control ward.
And a control ward. You go out into the enemy's jungle, you place that ward. and then you have vision on the entire game because you were playing in silver. No one goes into that push. But one thing that isn't silver is our community, and I hear that we've got another composition. I heard very loudly that we had another composition to bring you. So Jamada, Nymera.
Oh, well, Nymera might be silver. I don't know, guys.
Gub, Creox, Eminez, Attila, FGG.
I like this roster. It's not so bad.
No, it's horrible. Right, okay, no. Let me
we'll talk about it in a second. Tempt.
Actually will be caught out. Wasn't able to shuffle away, but will be able to flash out from the charm and the damage coming through from Senkox. But no, let me... Oh, Tax, are you going to ruin this for me?
Ultimate flash.
Oh, no, he is going to ruin it for me.
He is.
Flash forward, going to be able to get the Cyclone. Damage coming through from Senkox.
Oh,
I will do some work. As the Sun on the tower, as Senkox dives away. Tax gets a double knock up onto MC, but he might be a little bit too tanky to actually go down as Tempt is going to assist with the damage.
Yeah, all right, everybody walks away with their lives. Flash blown by Tax, a flash blown by Tempt. I think the real winner could potentially be X7. They have priority in the top side. And they will be able to start this Rift Herald. But how long will they be able to stick to it? Because Kibah is in the river. Alongside Taxa, and it is the presence alone just going to be able to barely force MC away. Though, the Herald is, I mean, it's leashed on one patience bar. So yeah, we'll get a reset.
Looks like X7 are going to hang around. Kibah is still there, but we'll back away. It looks like they're going to start up the Rift Herald once again. Chasey moving his way down, and we'll be able to assist. Taxa hanging about. Doesn't have ultimate, remember, though, so he's not going to be a potent engage threat, and this should be the secure of the Rift Herald, which is going to be quite nice for X7 to secure for themselves.
Yeah, exactly, but I will say X7 picking up that Herald, not really having much of an active early game so far, you know, in terms of finding per se kills. They are probably really happy, because I think when you start to break down how these team comps are likely going to interact with one another, looking at team fights, I think a lot of Astralis composition just wants to dive in, plain and simple, right? Camille, Wukong, Norless, but the issue is they're diving into Azir, they're diving into Swain, and realistically, not only that, Kasing looks like, I'm hoping we'll start building, you know, AD items, you know, beyond, you know, the Spectral Glaive. I always forget what
Umbral Glaive.
Umbral Glaive, thank you very much. I don't build the
Analyst, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, Analyst, by the way. But, you know, Senna will start to come online. Huh?
We haven't played the Ornament game today.
No, thankfully, because Ornn didn't even get to a point where he could give out ornaments in the Veneer game. But, yeah, the issue that I'm going to start to see, I think, from Astralis is if they don't find, you know, an area of the map to snowball, which realistically in this game, that's Senkox, that's probably Carlson.
Yeah.
These members diving forward are probably going to struggle into all of the area of effect abilities that, you know, Tempt and Attila have between them on the Azir, on the Swain. And realistically, I'm not sure whether or not they'll be able to burst through the Swain if he gets fed enough. Because, you know, you're going to have the likes of the Senna, you know, healing and shielding you up just a little bit extra on top of that. To keep the members alive. And if they say, hey, let's swap targets, try and dive Kasing, well, then all of a sudden Attila and Tempt just have to play Pill for the Senna, who is fasting anyway. And then the carries are still getting damage off. So I feel like this is a bit of a lose-lose in terms of the scaling aspects for Astralis. So they're probably going to have to try and look towards the side lane. But again, the issue is they're not getting Carlson ahead. So this very passive early game, which hasn't even seen a dragon be taken yet, 11 minutes into the game, I think it's slowly just going to bite Astralis in the backside in 15 minutes' time.
We'll have to see. Something that has maybe didn't get enough attention as we would have potentially wanted to.
Yes.
It's really bad. Like,
so you led into that saying, you know, our community isn't exactly silver.
Well, no, this is.
Case in point.
So.
Right, go on. What part of it do you want to take apart first? We have approximately 10 seconds before a fight kicks off.
Okay, so.
Quickly, Will.
Herb is just going to be split pushing. Eminez is going to be trying to get solo kills, but like, how when you've got that going on? I love Creox, so that's a good pickup. Attila not necessarily known for his laning dominance, and FGG not necessarily known for being in lane. I just think it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, you know what? I actually agree with a lot of your points. I think Attila and FGG as a lane pairing is maybe not the best idea. We're going to pull this down because...
Child's going to be...
Yeah.
That is my job, though, so...
Well, I've stolen it. Look at the screen, Will.
I know that they're going to... But the Astralis have left. It's going to get the tower, but, like, wow, Nar got a tower.
Yeah, Nar's got a tower, but what was we just talking about? Astralis need Carlson to be, you know, accelerated in the side lane. What has just happened?
Calm down. What more do you want?
X7 just ended the laning phase with Chasey over 40 CS up.
Yes.
Very problematic for Astralis. I'm not going to lie, guys. I don't...
It's not great.
It's not looking positive right now. And I just feel like, again, the scaling is just going to start to kick in. So I need to see Astralis do something soon.
Well, I'm sending lots of members mid, so they may be looking to get onto temp, but he's going to hang out under tower and just going to clear away these waves, and the rest of Astralis is going to have to move back. Remember, there's a dragon on the map, but at this stage, it's getting to the point where it's like...
You know, this is feeling a lot like Season 10 when Cloud Dragon really was Cloud
No one
Dragon.
cared.
Like, it really was Cloud Dragon, and no one would pick it up for 15, 20 minutes. Like,
Well, it's just a bit of a... We're going to have to spend 20 seconds killing this thing, and the enemy team might show up. That would be
X7.
a bit rubbish, but X7 are going to start it up. They
right.
want to just clear this out, I imagine, just to see what's next, and in all honesty, it's a free dragon. It's not the best one in the world, but it is still useful. We're going to be able to see a mountain dragon for our second, so we're likely to get something a bit more aggressive when it comes to Soul, unless it's Ocean, in which case, it's fine. I'm not really that fussed about that one, but
yeah.
Astralis, as you said, the slow game doesn't necessarily suit them. They're not too far behind.
No.
But
What I will say as well, as a bit of a, you know, anti-point to my own point.
caveat, you might
Yeah,
say.
caveat. Thank you. Your English lexicon is great, William.
Thank you.
Astralis have definitely been a team historically with this roster this year that has been more times than not pretty successful late game team fighters. What?
There you go.
But I will say, especially in spring, right, it seemed like it was either the one or the other. They were either exceptionally good early game or they were exceptionally poor in the late game. And it was a trade-off between the two. They were either poor in the early game, strong in the late game, and vice versa. Right now, again, with nothing really going on, yes, you know, the game is relatively even in terms of items, right? Yes, currently in the gold department, they are down over 1,000 gold. But right now, they are equal. They are at parity in items. Champion strength, maybe a different discussion to have. But right now, I still need to see something from the Astralis lineup, because X7 will sit here and just happily farm it out, happily get to item breakpoints, and then eventually just out-team fight, because I think their composition is significantly stronger.
Chasing to go in, managed to get the stun, a little bit of damage to Carson. I don't think there's that much kill pressure from the Nart in this situation, but he is still going to throw a couple of rocks. But I want to say that Attila in this game, and someone that we've criticized a little bit for his lane phase alongside Kasing so far this season, has been exceptionally disciplined on this Swain.
Ooh.
He's fallen a little bit further behind. Carson actually going to look to get onto Chasey, who is in small boy form, trying to dive away. Will be able to get away, looking for it, but flash from Carson secures the first blood.
That was 500 gold going into Carlson's back pocket. And again, this is kind of what we need from Astralis, but more in a coordinated fashion. This was Chasey just getting a little bit, you know, over-eager to try and find something. And Carlson punishes in this particular instance. We'll see what Carlson can do with this gold that is funneled back into him. Of course, Chasey did have a lead on him. Thank you, observers, reading my mind. Still 1,000 gold down, though. He was 1.5k gold down, picks up a 500 gold kill, and he's still 1k down. He is not in the best of positions. And like you said, really disciplined from the bottom side, from Attila and Kasing. And I feel like the lane itself kind of lends to that.
Yes.
I think particularly seeing the Ezreal, and I'm pretty sure he saw the Nautilus as well. Picking the Swain in that situation, he just kind of knows when he's got the center as the laning partner, there shouldn't really be any kill threat, you know, beyond effectively the sort of level 4, 5. You really have to be overstepping, and Discipline comes into that. Flash was burned by Kasing. I heard the noise. Seems like Kibah was looking for a dredge line, and Taxa was on his way, so just reads the situation. Even backs away from the tower, and they're losing the bottom side tower, so finding a little bit of proactivity, right?
Yes.
Astralis are now pushing their numbers down towards the bottom side, and the fog of war pressure, if we could maybe zoom out and toggle to X7 vision, it's pretty much just darkness for X7, so they're just respecting the map. So Astralis will pick up this tower in response, but the issue is, towards the top side of the map, what's going on? It's the Rift Herald. So, you know, again, it's cross-mapped by X7, and they'll have the opportunity to either give this to Chasey, they'll have the opportunity to maybe give this towards the mid lane, or realistically, off the back of a team fight, which could break out in 90 seconds time over this dragon, use it to potentially push either tempo advantage or just push a lead off the back of one team fight.
True. This is the question, though, because we're in a bit of a weird situation in terms of dragons. This is the second dragon coming up around where the third dragon usually occurs.
Yes.
Could we see a third dragon fight?
Oh, now, yeah.
Just because the champions are in that same kind of position that they'd usually be in. So is it a case of teams take that fight because of the Dragon, or do they take the fight because it's where they're both feeling confident to do so?
If I'm Astralis, I'm in the mindset of we need to find the lead fast. Because, again, I feel like team fights...
Although Kibah's being found out, a lot of damage. He's going to flash away. MC's going to go over the wall as well, but needs to be careful because Taxa and Sengoku are in the wings. But he's going to be able to just move back away. Yeah,
I just feel like the fact that Astralis have such a short-range composition in practice, right? Because you know they do have Ari and Ezreal, which they have some long-range abilities, but in practice they are probably going to function as a short-range team comp outside, you know, away from Ezreal.
Yes,
they kind of just have top to bottom X7 answers to all of these issues. They have anti-dive champs. We'll see how it works out.
Camille drives onto Kasing, so much damage coming on through. He's going to be deleted as Axa looks to break up the fight. Will be able to knock up MC, calling the ultimatum as well. He falls as Chasey moves forward, trying to get large, trying to get mega. Will be able to do so, but will he be able to find anything off the back of it? Temp puts up the tower. The remnants of Shurima are here, but Astralis have already got 2 kills and they've already left.
Yeah, all right. I mean, Astralis just capitalize on X7, stepping a little bit too far forward there. They pick up 2 kills for themselves, and it looks like they're leaving at the Dragon. So, again, I was about to say, but they beat me to the point. If I'm Astralis, I'm thinking I need to go right now, find a pick, like we just saw underneath that tier 1 tower, and then hopefully get the Dragon themselves. There's Hex, Soul, Gates on the map.
Yes.
We'll get a replay of this, and yeah, again, flash forward from Sengoku, Carlson as well, hook shot onto Kasing, and that's what I was talking about, right? Kasing is a very vulnerable target, but imagine if X7 are actually in formation, right?
Yeah.
Yazir and the Senna are on top of each other. All of a sudden, Camille just gets shuffled off the backline, and Senna probably lives. All of the anti-diving tools are there. They weren't all in uniform in this instance, and that's when Astralis have to strike. It's when they struck just now in that replay, and they have to continue to try and find these windows. Otherwise, I feel like this game is going to be very, very difficult, like I've been echoing for a little while now. But they have to lean on Carlson, who, I mean, we've been very critical of. I feel like rightfully so. Hasn't always been able to show up for a little while, but finds himself 201 on the Camille, 151 CS, working towards that second item in a game where I feel like he is going to be the keystone for success here for Astralis, in my opinion.
I think so. And I think the fact that he's got 2 out of 3 of their kills and the assist on the other one does show that where Astralis have been playing to that game plan that you've wanted to see, he's been involved in that in quite a big way, but it's a question of whether Astralis talent have been doing their game plan or doing what they need to do enough, and the Charmer landing here will be a part of that. Kasing caught out once again as Attila takes a little bit of poke, but shouldn't really go down. But Sengoku moving forward, Attila's forced to flash and ult. He felt like he needed that one to survive, and Astralis talent will be able to break through, looking towards MC now. As
X7.
A lot of damage as Chris Berg secures the kill. X7.
All the time, I feel like the health bars aren't high enough, and Astralis don't have the damage to do the Baron. But boy, that is that's an interesting one from X7. Kasing just not quite respecting the possibility of that play occurring, and then yeah, MC, maybe the calls were just mixed on whether or not they really wanted to defend that tower. Gives up his life for free, just an additional kill on gold over to Astralis. And what's kind of sad is even though they have all of these kills,
yes,
they are still dead even. Actually, they're slightly behind in gold. And when you take a look at the inventories, you know, Chris Berg is approaching his Iron Spike, right? That crucial, you know, Triforce into Muramana Spike is on its way. Swain is going to be a little whiles away from 2 items. And that could maybe be a bit of a breaking point. If Carlson can also hit 2 items, then they try and fight on that. But the issue is Tempt actually has a Banshee's Veil, which I'm not sure how much I like that in this game. You're against an Ezreal, which can pop it quite easily. Interesting choice, but...
is it good to avoid the initial engage potential for someone like the Camille, potentially?
I don't even... not particularly. I mean, it can be, yeah, it can definitely work. It stops from, you know, it stops Kibah from maybe... wait, did Chasey steal that? Oh, no.
No, I was just like...
yeah, it stops, like, Kibah flash engaging maybe at best, but, like, I'm not sure how much value you'll get.
He goes unstoppable, but needs to be a little bit careful as fight breaks out. Taxa in the backline, managing to slip away. No one goes down in that fight, but I feel like a couple of people probably should have.
Yeah, definitely Kibah and MC limping away from that, but the key thing is Astralis Carlson was able to take down that topside tower. Chasey, ooh, nice side step. Yeah, like that. Picks up the tower for himself. Can I get a toggle on the gold? Because we have to talk about how close people might be to Iron Spikes. Carlson is nowhere near that second item, unfortunately. And that was the crucial thing I was looking at. Attila, I think, if he had teleport, could farm out this wave and then go back for Zhonya's, but unfortunately he doesn't. So we'll see whether or not he'll have the time after this wave to do so, because he does have a Fiendish Codex, so I expect he will want to reset.
With that teleport? Is that Dragon?
Yes. So I'm expecting him to go back, pick up his Zhonya's. So let's swap back over to the items and try and get a track of where everyone sits moving into this Dragon fight, because again, this is maybe the one break point where I feel like Astralis can fight on very, what I would consider even terms. Because beyond this, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult, pending X7 don't grief their positioning, which they've been doing a little bit, and Astralis have been doing a great job of capitalizing. So let's see how things go. 20 seconds away from this Dragon. It's Astralis with control in the river.
There's the Zhonya's.
There's the Zhonya's. 2 items as well for Senkarks. Has his own Zhonya's too, so can dodge out on a couple of key spells potentially. Let's see how this goes. It's X7 that have to check in, but they do have frontliners, so let's see.
They're hanging around in mid lane, though. They just want to keep control over this area. The Astralis will be thrown down from Chrisberg just to thin out health bars a slight tad, but won't be able to do too much. As Chasey trying to get towards that large Gnar situation. And then see throwing forward, just threatening as they're actually looking to get some damage on the mid lane tower. We'll be able to get it to about half health, just under, maybe a third there.
All right, I think X7 are going to have to give this one up, though. I think Astralis have too much control of the river, and quite frankly, it seems like X7 are not willing
contest, which might actually be smart for them, because again, you've been saying all along it's Astralis that needs to be the ones putting the pedal to the metal, and while their kills are looking good, the gold is still dead even.
Yeah, and this is the ramification of that Dragon not being taken super early.
Yes.
Because now we are at a point in the game, very rarely do we see this, where we only had 3 Dragons taken at almost 25 minutes. So no soul, the earliest soul will be effectively at like 35 if we're going to be realistic. Team fights have to occur, things like that. So we'll see how long it takes for the potential soul to spawn up. But for now, Astralis, you know, the game is dead even, right? Let's not take away from it. Obviously, I will hound on things like game state and how I feel things look.
Icky picky.
Icky picky, yes. Picky picky.
But you know what? You've got agreement with our analysts back in the analyst room. The momentum meter is showing that the game is dead even in their view as well.
Yeah, because all it does take is one successful fight for Astralis right now, and they can take a lead. Let's not...
Of course.
Let's not mince our words.
But at the same time, if X7 take a team fight...
I think it's far more impressive if they win a team fight.
You think so?
Yeah. Because again, if the answers... Oh, Chris Berg shifting forward there. If the answers for X7 are significantly stronger than Astralis, then if X7 start to gain a lead, realistically, in theory, it should be harder for Astralis to come back into it. And again, like we spoke about, a lot of how we're expecting the composition in a team fight setting to work, which we haven't seen too much of. This has been a very slow game. Diving team fights from Carlson, from Taxa, even from Kibah. But again, all of these anti-diving tools, the Swain AoE, Azir existing as a champion, even Senna to a degree, right? Even though she is a very easy target in theory to take down, having the likes of the Azir and the Swain near her or around her to ensure that she doesn't just kind of get one shot freely are the kind of things that will make team fighting for Astralis very difficult. So it's about that high-value target selection.
Hold up, MC is behind enemy lines right now.
Well, he's not exactly behind anyone geographically.
Yeah, but he was aggressively placed, and I don't know if he wants to be there when Kibah is sniffing around guarding his jungle, but X7 just... Again, they're not really... Oh, I don't know. Tempt actually might be in trouble here. Taxa could look to dive forward, breaking that Banshees and getting the knock-up. You've got support MC Kasing coming up river, maybe looking towards Taxa. That could have been a huge bait as the snare will land, rooting up Wukong. As Taxa tries to flail away, will be able to do so. MC's actually burning kind of low. The Ezreal ultimate goes wide this time around, but Kibah will be coming up alongside Chrisberg, looking to catch on, won't be able to do so. Attila is now here. Can he land the claw? Can Tempt find anything? No, he can't this time around. As Kibah gonna put up the depth charge, knocks up 2. That's a deep damage on the Tempt. The damage coming through though as Tempt goes first kill of the fight in the turnaround. X7 will stand strong for now. Carlson decides not to dive in as Attila pops his ultimate just to dissuade any re-engagement. Senkarks still looking for one, however, won't be able to land the poke required to make this one work. X7 on the board, but they're forced to back away.
They're forced to back away. They pick up their kill onto Kibah. Unfortunately, just dives a little bit too far forward.
Taxa? Yeah, don't do that, buddy.
Very close, but Astralis left a kill down. X7 will happily, at the very least, reap the benefits of that team fight. But again, the ramifications of that on the game, yeah, just kind of minimal. So here we are with a replay of a fight which realistically could have broke out a lot heavier than it did.
Yes.
We'll say that. Taxa goes in, breaks the Banshee's Veil. Not really sure how much follow-up he could have had realistically.
I mean, Zengox was around, but that was about it, really.
It's just too far, I think. And MC does dive in with the Heartbreaker, with the flash as well, in an attempt to take down Taxa. Doesn't find it, and then Kibah and Chrisberg come up here, have to flash away, shift away as well from the potential of that shuffle. Tempt does get locked down, but again, it's just Kibah who gets locked up by Chasey.
Very, very nice to prevent a lot of damage coming down from Chrisberg, because if the first kill of the fight in that one went over to Astralis, I think it's going to look very, very different in terms of how much was gained. But as it stands, the answer to the question was,
Yeah. And again, I will continue to say, I feel like the game state is not particularly the best for Astralis, but as things go on, we will start to see, you know, much like League of Legends is, an execution-based game where it can just take a team fight. For now, I feel like X7 do have more cards in their hand to work with. But if Astralis can find the winning hand, that's all it really takes.
You only need 2 cards for blackjack, baby.
Exactly. As X7, they're going to take this mid lane tier 1. They're going to have access to the river first. But take a look at Carlson on the minimap, actually. I think he's unseen. He might.
Because see, is all alone. He's going to be able to get back towards his team, though. And Kasing has been the one that's been the priority target, the victim of a lot of these plays. You can see by his scoreline has died twice. MC also doing the same, but is a little bit tanky, a little bit hard to catch out, especially now when he's got his ultimate available. On the top side, Zengox is just split pushing.
Take a look at the minimap. I mean, so Astralis, in this instance, just saying, okay, 2 dragons, we don't really care. So we're going to take the dragons instead. With Tower will die. Did he get the... He did get the local gold, right? I didn't...
I think so, yes.
I hope
just
so.
About.
Otherwise, that's a lot of gold to miss out on, sadly. But I'm pretty sure he hit it anyway, so...
He did, yeah.
Well, he did hit it, so...
He was should have forgotten gold. If he wasn't hitting it, he's doing something very wrong. But our camera wasn't there. We've got to assume that Zengox was doing his job properly. In farm, though, interestingly, something I've just noticed, Tempt has been doing the last hitting.
Yeah, he's doing a... What was it? Who was it back in the day? It was Froggen and Who. Mostly Froggen, to be fair. You just take the chicken camps and the wolves.
Oh, I do remember Froggen just turning and just Anivia ulting the chickens and his jungle just being like, okay, that's cool. No, yeah, no worries.
His jungle would be like, a crumb of jungle camp, please.
Please, sir. Just one chicken. No.
But,
he needs to be careful. The positioning from X7 has been, to put it
on occasion
a
suspect.
Bit sus.
Yes, on occasion suspect. I'm glad that we went the same way with that. I mean, again, it's about the windows for Astralis. If they can find them when they're open, they have to take them. And if they don't, this game is going to be difficult. It has been slow. We've had 6 kills in 30 minutes. That feels... This is LCK levels of slow, actually. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I don't like it.
Because the worst part about this is that we are going to end up... I'm just going to call it right now.
Okay.
Okay, wait.
That's fine. MC was just thinking about it, but he heard you wanted to... He heard you had something to say.
He heard I had something to say. I feel like we're going to see a team fight in approximately 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe even 3 to 5, I'll say.
So 34 to 37.
Yeah. And the team who wins is going to get Baron, and then the team that gets Baron is potentially just going to end off the back of it. I feel like we're just going to see a really, like, you know, a Mayweather-type victory.
You're saying game ends at like 38, 39.
Yeah, just... Okay. It's either that, or we're here for the next 30 minutes. And I don't know how I feel about that, Will.
I hope not.
I kind of hope not as well, but I don't know, frankly. See, this is the thing. We actually came with talking points, but the game has been so slow, we have unfortunately exhausted them.
Oh, it's a new one!
Totally unplanned. We were probably going to flame Nymera, but...
Oh, no, we definitely were going to flame Nymera, but Akamask been caught in the crossfire, I'm sorry. Kryze, Linker, Senkux, Venza, Kibah.
You know what?
I mean,
hold on. Wait. Senkox and Kibah are in the same...
You're bottom. You're bottom with...
oh, boy. Yeah, that's a failure.
Singularity official account.
Aka Mask, a.k.a. Mask, that's a failure right there. That's unfortunate as a...
Oh, they're going to kick off that fight, MC.
They're just going to walk away from each other.
Someone giggling to yourself on the side. I'm going to have some water. Oh! Now I'm going to have some water if you want to just like cover.
Yeah, I'll cover you, sure.
Mike, that's cool.
X7. Senkox could have actually caught somebody out there, but wasn't able to find the mark because looking towards Senkox, but again, that Visions of Empire is just not going to land. Senkox will walk away very happily towards no. X7 aboard. X7 aboard. They're bored. They're bored. It's the only answer.
MC, you are half.
Oh, wait, Crispo based as well, actually.
Oh, the ultimate coming through from Ezreal is going to hit everyone but MC as he's able to dive away from this one. But Carlson's on the back, and this is
a throw, surely.
This is crazy. The ultimates come through. The layering. What's going on? It's a disaster from the team, but Attila on the side. It's burning through. I don't think he stands. MC, he's dead! He's dead! Okay. You were like 30 seconds too slow on that one, but they got the Baron, they got the team fight. Now, do they get the end?
You can't make this up. The only explanation is X7 were just bored. I don't know what else to say. They just thought, all right, I'm just going to damage check the Baron, but they commit too hard. And Tax is able to get in over the wall. Carlson has a flank angle, and it's just carnage in the pit. They blow up Kasing immediately, and as soon as he's gone, there is no more sustain. But everybody is being shredded by the Baron. MC has to exit the back of the pit. The Nar's great, but guess what? Everyone else is dead. Oh, man, I don't know what to say about this one. Normally, I feel like I would be a lot more harsh, a little more critical, but I just... I just...
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what to say.
For those of you wondering, there is more League of Legends to happen after this. We've got Dusty Singularity to close out the day, so stay tuned with us. And it looks like base has been cracked open. Astralis Talent looking to step forward. MC also looking to step forward, but I mean, 4,500 gold to the good for Astralis Talent now. That's a good position to be in, and they've broken open the base.
Yeah.
How do they mess it up? I've seen this before.
I think they change target and they don't dive Kasing anymore. I think that's how they mess it up. I think they try and dive tempt, right?
Okay. And he's just going to shuffle them.
And he's just going to shuffle them, or like Chasey is just going to like find a 4-man Mega Gnarl. Just randomly. Okay, I need a second to breathe.
Okay, well, we're going to have a team fight anyway. Oh, no, we're not. They missed everything. So it's just going to be the inhibitor taken down, but that's the base broken open, which is pretty nice to see. And X7 needs to be careful. MC scrapping forward. I don't know about this one, MC, honestly. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. He doesn't manage to get away, which is quite nice. And Astralis is just going to be able to back off and go towards this dragon, setting themselves up for Soul Point, ladies and gentlemen, at the ripe old 41-minute mark. And that's if X7 don't get the dragon.
In Season 11, 41 minutes would be the second Elder Spawn, probably.
Like 2 weeks ago, this game would be done.
Yep. Yeah, it would.
12.10, everybody.
Whew, it is.
Actually, no. Let's not blame 12.10. Let's blame Astralis Talent.
No, let's blame 12.10. I feel like that is a pretty solid scapegoat here. Will, I really do think it is. I feel like it has slowed down the meta a lot. Teams up.
Oh, Chasey might be caught out. Gets the Gnar, but doesn't get the stun. Crucially, in Astralis Talent are the ones collapsing. That's a teleport committed though, and the Gnar's just gonna wander away.
Okay.
No one can see you nodding.
No one can see me, but I am
like
I don't know what else to say. Senkox closes teleport, and the rest of X7 are able to escape. This is a game, Will. And you know, I don't know if I can handle a Singularity game after this.
It's Dusty as well as
Let's see what Astralis can do. Because right now, if there's anything we can, right. narrative time.
Okay.
If there's one thing we can say about Astralis, we have been wanting a consistent game.
We have.
I think this falls under those parameters, in all fairness.
If they win.
If they win.
If they lose.
If they lose,
I'm
then
gonna be
then the story continues. And they continue to be shaky, and X7 are the comeback kings of, well, actually, realistically, they're not of today.
Do you know what? I'm just going to come out and say it. No one deserves to win this game.
I don't know about that yet.
No, I do. I do.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about, William?
If you could be...
Okay.
Okay, no, okay. So,
I know it's bad when we're doing the if you could
$1 million.
Oh my god, on Div 1.
But...
All right.
All of your clothing starts the day very slightly wet.
That's annoying.
It is. It's like damp. Like you've been
so
on a beach
I wake up.
seafoam.
I wake up and it's like, oh no.
It's not salty, but it's like it's slightly damp. Just all of your clothing.
$1 million?
$1 million.
For the rest of my life?
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
Oh, that's gonna be annoying when I'm old.
You could go back. You could go buy clothes, and the new clothes will be dry. Anything that you own at the start of the day is moist.
Okay, I think I'm sleeping with no clothes. I think that's the,
that's
the first strategy and workaround.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know. How long do they stay damp?
Well, it's
I need some parameters.
So, I mean, it depends. If you like...
Ooh.
There's an Ezreal ult.
Do you know it's bad when our observers are following Ezreal from start to finish?
It depends how the clothing's laid out. Because if it's all folded in your wardrobe, that's going to be bad, right? That's going to take a while. But if it's hung up, like, you can, like, hair dryer it pretty quickly.
Okay. That's electricity bills, man.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Electricity is expensive these days.
Oh, you got $1 million.
Oh, I do have $1 million. That's a great point. You know, I'll take that. Yeah, I think that's cool.
Okay, $1 million, but you can never wear the same pair of socks twice.
Nah.
There is the sandal tech.
Nah, I like socks. No, and feet stink if you don't put socks on and you put shoes on.
No, but you just wear sandals.
Nah, Oh, okay. Hey, look at this. This is something of import.
Yeah, they're going to be able to do it up the Baron. It looks like X7 is not going to be in a position to contest this one.
No, this is Astralis. This is Astralis through and through. The question is, what will X7 do about it on the follow-up? The answer is nothing. So, okay. What's the question again?
So, $1 million, but you can never wear the same pair of socks twice.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I could do that. Like, $1 million is a lot of money, but I don't think I could. Yeah, same pair of socks.
Now, there's like a thing where I remember hearing this on like an old podcast long ago, and I 100%, this resonates with me. I want to get to the point where I'm rich enough that I can buy fresh socks and just wear fresh socks every day. Because that's like, fresh socks are good. Like, you put those socks on for the first time.
You know what? Those first time socks. Like,
imagine you're rich enough, you could do that every day of your life. You just have that feeling.
You know what? I like that. You know what? Yeah. Screw it, I'll take that.
I talked you into it.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, you've talked me into that. I like the idea of that. Now,
it's going to be Dragon Soul.
Dragon Soul is on the table, on the horizon for Astralis here, and they have the Baron buff, and they also have priority around the entirety of the
I haven't really been looking at my screen, and not much has actually happened.
Yeah, I wonder why.
If Astralis take this Dragon, they've got Baron, they've got Dragon Soul. You've got to imagine that has to be it.
Yes, if they win this teamfight, they will end the game.
Why does X7 win this teamfight?
We're here for another 10 minutes, Will, and I don't know if my mental can sustain.
Okay, well, Attila's going for a flankenzy. Won't be able to find anything, though. As Kibah's going over the side as well, though. This could be dangerous as he dives away. But Chasey's in the middle of the fight, not gone large yet, but does have half the bar filled up. Dragon's going to be joining on the side of X7 as well. As Kibah goes forward, manages to find Kasing. That's a huge knockup coming through, and layer upon layer is utilized. They're going to be able to hold out a second longer with Attila. Chasey's still there as well, but a lot of damage dealers are already dead. Teleport coming through. It looks like Astralis Talent want this one done just as much as we do. Carlson breaks into the base. Baron is secured. The ace is secured. And Astralis Talent, they win the marathon and they'll take down X7 Esports.
Are you ready for the narrative, Will? It was slow, it was calculated, and it was not quite concise.
You Kings, he was only 17, everybody, as Astralis Talent will win the matchup. Ah!
Just let the music play.
Okay.
Just let the music play. X7, you know, I have to say, I really did like their draft. I feel like all they had to do was sit there.
Well, they did.
And sit there and wait. They just had to sit there and wait. But unfortunately,
this signs I am now officially concerned about X7 Esports.
Yes, actually,
Before
I
it
totally
was kind
agree.
of a variance. Team needs to bed in. MC's in a very different environment, different champ pools.
Now we start to worry.
Not good.
Yeah, no, now we start to worry. Yeah, lots to talk about. I think the analyst desk will probably break it down better than we could after having to experience that. So I'm going to do your job and just toss it to Bryce and the gang.
Thank you very much. Yes, a lot to break down. There are casters not the most enthused about how that game actually ended up playing out. So let's get our first kind of reactions on. Godbot, you're giving me a look there, and I have to ask what that mind is calculating.
Well, first off, I think I was the only one who put in the prediction document that Astralis was going to take.
Yeah, but why? Because you have an obligation from last split because you lost a bet with their coach.
But that's beyond the point. Either way, I am having just a lot of watching that game. I think I had just as much a breakdown as Jamana had here. And so it almost feels too distant away to know what happened these 45 minutes ago before this game ended. But I feel like that this game should have been harder from Astralis than it was. And it was an X7 that got the bot lane going, pressured out Kibah and the Astral. Kibah didn't make a movement on the map. Herald the top. You can say about that what you want to, but then when the top lane is long, then all of a sudden Chasey gets solo killed. And that's why it starts to get wrong. Now all of a sudden Astralis gets back into it, and the game gets a little too close, and then nothing happens, and they can scale. And then after that, it just seems like X7 is the one making the move when they don't have to, and that just really dooms everything.
I'm speechless. I am disappointed. I am speechless. And I think at this point, obviously it's not the time to start pointing fingers, but that was a composition from X7 that was built through comfort. Viego, Senna, Azir, these other comfort
I like
picks.
the draft.
These are the 3 picks that they've actually won on. These are the only 3 picks that have been consistent that they've won on. Once they got off the picks, they lost the game. Back on the picks means to me that the team is just not feeling comfortable together. They have to play these champions to feel good on the Rift. It did not show. I think the breakdown that the guys had on the desk, I think pretty much summarized what was happening with X7. It's like you have a draft that's winning here. You can go literally 100 minutes into the game and you will outscale, but you just get bored and thrown a Baron.
Literally, we are sitting in the green room, we're watching the game, we're watching Astralis, and we're kind of going like, well, it doesn't really seem like they want to do much here. And then all of a sudden, X7 does this.
Like, screw it.
Astralis was never going to start this one up. And they just get pincered. You have one from Top River, one from Baron Pit, one coming in with Carlson here. You are literally just completely getting flanked pincer move. There's no room for you to play, and despite like a really good Meganar who's coming through, there is no one to follow up. The fight is split, your teammates are dying left, right, and center, and I have no idea what justified this call. Like, I am baffled that this play has happened, and from a team of the caliber of X7 with their players too. It's actually quite mind-boggling.
Well, we'll get a chance to ask him in a little bit, but yeah, it did seem to kind of be things, like you said before, right? Comfortable with the picks. X7 should have been in probably the most confident mode going into this game. And then we see things like that. We see them going behind as well. And you're like, well, what's going wrong? What do you think is happening in the X7 camp that mistakes are being made? They're not playing to what we say is their best ability.
I just have to say, we keep saying go back to the drawing board. It's a new patch, but like the guys said on the desk as well, let's hope 12-11 will just make it better for them, right? Maybe MC back on his carries, tower dives are easier to execute, maybe a Nidalee renekton towards the tops of the map, Nidalee Camille, like anything that will get them rolling. You know, Chasey is a great AD player, playing carries towards the tops of the map. Like, for the love of God, like put MC something that he feels comfortable on and just get the ball rolling that way, because I think it just suffocates the players at this point.
That's all it comes down to. This is a worrying trend now.
Okay, all right, worrying trend. Well, away from the negative of X7 and on to the positive, because fortunately, we can now jump to an interview with Astralis. Should we keep her on the line with us now? And we have questions, but congratulations on the win, first of all. A kind of an interesting win over the other team as well. You gave them away in their draft. You gave them all their comfort picks. Didn't seem to bother you at all.
I mean, they're not really good on it, so...
Okay, going straight with the fire. Was that always part of the game plan then, to just play your own game and not really worry about what the other team were doing?
Yeah, it was pretty simple. Like, we talked about the Senna, of course. We didn't really see it as a big threat because it doesn't seem like they play a lot of time Kench, and that's like what we think the only good combo. So we didn't really care that much. And we got the Israel, so we were being chilling.
So I've also asked Chrisberg that question, but Kibah, I feel like your addition in the team has brought sort of like a new flair in the bot lane for Astralis. So how have you seen your synergy so far with Chrisberg in lane, but also out of lane?
I think Chris is really good at putting me on like a leash, so I don't go too monkey mode, because I have tendencies to do that a lot. That's also why you see me on Renato all the time, because coach is scared that I run it down. So it's just to put me on a leash. But I think in lane also give Chris a little bit of like aggression, I guess, or like more proactive ideas. So we match well together because it's like a mix of aggression and more calculated type of play. So yeah, complement each other well.
Okay, I have to ask, and this we take it out of the game here. I have to go a little bit in there first. Had you said to me 3 years ago that you're going to be playing for Astralis Talent, I would probably have laughed in your face and said that is never, ever gonna happen. So I kind of want to get your point of view on it. Like, what has this journey been like for you? Like, just looking back from when you started out, struggled to get a few teams, and then moving up to now. And then what's your goals now being on Astralis Talent?
First of all, I think I'm very lucky. That's like the first thing. I think I'm very lucky and I'm very thankful for the opportunity I got. That's also why I want to make sure I make the most out of it. So yeah, that's the first thing. Yeah, I'm just really lucky, and in general, I'm thinking of obviously EU Masters. That's obviously like the long-term goal, but take it game by game, pretty much. Was there more to the question? Sorry, based out.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, man.
Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Sky's the limit.
Okay, kind of a final question from me then as well here. So I'm not the expert here at the NLC by any stretch of the imagination, but I've heard from the rest of the talent, and I'll drop them in this here, that they don't consider it a very clean game. There maybe were too many mistakes. What exactly is Astralis going to be working on coming out of this? And what do you think the team really needs to focus on to make that next step?
I think a lot of the times this game, well, our early game is pretty bad. First of all, let's get that out of the way. Our second issue is mid game. We don't. I mean, a lot of the times this game, if you guys also like saw it, we're like at the right place at the right time. We're just too scared to go in when enemies are just griefing, because we think, oh, surely only steps up because his whole team is behind him. But in reality, that's not the case. So yeah, I mean that's like probably the biggest issue. Like versus M&M, we played like, oh my god, that was so disturbing. Like we the last 2 days we've just been like yesterday's scrim. Our coach just said, guys, just if you go in, I don't care if you go 0-50, just please go in. And yesterday's scrim I went 0-16 as well, right? Like it's just a practice.
It worked.
Well, he did take his coach's word for it, right? He's like, go in, I don't care if you go 0-50, 0-16. Yeah. Sounds good.
But yeah, honestly, we still have a lot to work on. Like we're so bad, but other teams are just as bad. So maybe we could keep finessing some wins. Who knows? Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for joining us here on the NLC. It's been a pleasure. Oh, go on.
I have one last thing.
Go for it.
To Nias, the coach of X7, if you talk to talk, you also got to walk the walk, bro. That's it.
Strong words then to end on. Thank you so much for joining us here as well. And It looks like maybe some positive feelings coming out of it, but obviously very well aware of the mistakes they have been making.
I mean, I think we've been talking about this for Astralis for the longest time now. We're like, just more proactivity. Like, this guy's running down the lane. Your jungler is right there, you know, ganking. But a lot of the times, you go into these mind games where you're like, surely this guy's not griefing. Surely he's not running it down on his own. Well, he is. Just gank him and get ahead, you know. And even in this game, it felt like even though X7 were making the mistakes, that were overextending, that were all alone, they were too careful to pull the trigger, even though they had all the tools with like a Wukong and everything else.
But I can appreciate the fact that the coach is losing his mind as well. I mean, fair enough. I mean, obviously, he's got the same frustrations as we do, that there's a lack of proactivity.
Hey,
so.
Kibah, listen, he went 0-16, he said.
So, exactly. I feel like if you're too scared to pull the trigger, fair enough, if you jump too far then afterwards, then you can learn how to minimize these steps.
Yeah.
But it's better going out too far than never going out at all.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so they're making a mistake by trying not to make mistakes and essentially a little bit more aggressive.
And that's why you have the scrims.
That is why you have the scrims that go 0-16. I can do that. Anyway, we have to talk about how that has affected our standings. Obviously, a win for Astralis and a loss there for X7. Trouble, is anything on this kind of caught your eye now?
Yeah, it has to be X7 again. It's just a bummer. Like the guys who we hyped up to win EU Masters, it felt like you took one piece out of the equation and the team is sort of falling apart, right? But again, obviously, one of the big surprises is Astralis. I love seeing them up there. Kubok, you hyped them up in your power rankings. Last split, they disappointed. I feel like right now they're coming in, and yes, they're playing a very slow, bleeding out game, but at least they have identified what the issues are. Yes, we're winning, but we want to win faster. Maybe 12-11 is the patch with a little bit more proactivity allowed in the early game.
I mean, this split I didn't hype them up at all, so apparently that's all working.
You didn't jinx them then.
Apparently,
Yeah.
last split I was a hype guy. This time around there, I've done that.
Fair enough. Well, we'll have to find out what works in the end. But